Okay, let's look at question number 28. This is a new one that I just put on the practice exam. That's why it's not anywhere else online, so I'm doing it right now. This will for sure, something like this will for sure be on exam number 3. All right, an arch in the form of a semi-ellipse is 52 feet wide at the base, the height is 20 feet. How wide is the arch at a height of 12 feet above the base? All right, so we got to draw an axis system. So let's do that. And I'm going to make an arch. So we're making up an axis system that's not really there, right? In real life, there's just some arch that exists somewhere, and we're making up this axis system at its center to help us do the math. Remember, math is made up to describe things that are real. So the axis system is made up. A real-life arch sitting somewhere, you know, a big bridge thing, doesn't have an axis system. We're making up the axis system because that makes the math easier for us. That's how math works in the real world. Math is made up. Numbers are just made up to help us describe things that are real. Okay. And so we have this arch in the form of a semi-ellipse. Now we need the equation for this arch. So now here's the mistake many students have made over the years. They look at that and they think, oh, it's got one branch, it's a parabola, I'll write something like, what, x squared is minus 4ay, because, you know, it's going down the minus y direction. That's totally wrong, because it says right here it's ellipse. You see, it's an ellipse. It's a semi-ellipse, which means like semicircle. It's half of an ellipse. So it's not a parabola equation. We do not want to use parabola equations. It's not a semi-parabola. It's a semi-ellipse. So we have to use ellipse equations. If it helps you, go ahead and draw the rest of the ellipse. But really, the arch we're talking about is only the top half. But if it helps you to see the whole thing, go ahead and draw it in there. It's an ellipse, okay? So the equations of ellipses are what? X squared over a squared plus y squared over b squared equals 1. None of that, no parabola equation. None of that 4ax stuff. None of that. Ellipse equation. Okay, because it says ellipse. So watch out. On the exam, I could give you an ellipse, a parabola, whatever. So, all right. So now how do we do this thing? So it's 52 feet wide at the base. So that means 52 feet from there to there, and 20 feet tall. Okay, so what that means, now what goes underneath x is how far right and left. So how far right and left? Half, you divide this by 2, 52 divided by 2 is 26. So that must mean 26 feet right, 26 feet left. This must be 26 squared. Whatever goes underneath x is how far right and left from the center, right? From the center, 26 right, 26 left. And then from the center, it's 20 up. So this must be 20 squared. That goes underneath y, right? Whatever's underneath x is right and left from the center. Whatever's underneath y is up and down from the center. Okay. So now we have the equation x squared over 26 squared plus y squared over 20 squared is 1. Now, what are we trying to figure out? What's their actual question? Let me put it on the picture here. Their actual question is find out how wide is the arch at a height of 12 feet. So, in other words, 12 feet is about a little more than half, right? Because it's 20 all the way. It's 20 all the way to the top. So from the middle, from the ground, this is the ground here. So from the ground, if you go up 12 feet, the question is, how wide? What's the width? How far from here to here? What's the width of the arch? How wide is the arch at 12 feet high, 12 feet above the ground? That's the question. So basically, it's all about noticing this is the point. What is the coordinate? What are the coordinates at that point? From the middle, that's over x up 12. That's the point x12, isn't it? Remember, whenever we do coordinates, x, y coordinates, it's always from the middle. So from the middle, over x up 12. So notice that x is only half of the whole width, isn't it? So when I solve and find x, I'm going to have to double it to get the entire width of the arch at a height of 12 feet. So let's plug in x and 12 now. X for x, 12 for y. So x squared over 26 squared plus 12 squared over 20 squared equals 1. Is that making sense there? Just plugged in the x and the 12. Since it's a point right here on the edge of the graph. If you're a point on the graph, you can plug into the equation. You'll make the equation true. All right, so then let's work this thing out. 26 squared, with our calculator here, 676. 12 squared over 20 squared turns out to be 0.36. Trying to solve for x now. Subtract 0.36 from both sides, and I'll get x squared over 676 is 0.64. Next step to finish getting x alone, multiplied by 676. Boom. X squared equals I'm getting 432.64, and then we root it, so x equals 20.8. Now careful, see how they got the 20.8 answer? They're baiting the hook, and they're trying to catch you like a fish. Careful, remember x is only from there to there. It's only half of the width. Remember? They want the width, which is from one side of the arch to the other side of the arch. X and y coordinates are always from the middle, right? The middle of the axis system. That's what x and y always means on a graph. From the middle, over is x, up is 12. So x is only half of the width. So then the width is 2 times x, is 2 times 20.8. is 41.6. The answer is A. There it is. I hope that helps.